Dear boss, I send you half a kidney I took from one woman. Preserved it for you. The other piece I fried, mate. It was very nice. I may send you the bloody knife that took it out if you wait a while longer. Yours truly, Jack the Ripper.
Hi guys, Billy back, and this time we're going to be looking at Ringtoys 1/6 scale collectible figure Misty Midnight, aka Jack the Ripper. Now this is not your usual sort of Jack the Ripper style. This is sort of more reimagined for the steampunk era, and that's why I got it. When I was younger I had a slight interest in Jack the Ripper. I used to read the books and I was convinced, like everybody, that if I read all the books then maybe I'd get a better understanding of who Jack the Ripper was, and I was certain the answer was in those books, and in a round-off sort of way they were, because I think they finally sort of matched his DNA to a family ascendancy in Poland, and they tied it back to I think it was a Polish barber or someone like that. I think that's the newest theory out there now. And I also have a slight interest in sort of steampunk stuff. There isn't a lot of it out there for 1/6 scale, so when something drops I like to have a look and see if it's possibly something that can fit into the collection. And when I saw this I was almost instantly like, yes, because it's not a superhero, it's not a movie character, it is something completely different for the collection, and I think it will stand out. Now this is the figure, but I also got the Diorama, which is the DX set, so I'm going to be showing both of those in this video, so don't worry, they're both going to be shown. But first off, let's just take a look at the box, and as you can see it's got Misty Midnight Jack the Ripper on there. It's got a silhouette of his head with the top hat on, and he's also got that sort of, I don't know what you would call that, it's like a, I'll show you it when we get to it, but it's like a sort of steampunk mask, sort of got like a hook nose on the front. I think it's very much like the sort of doctors of the plague used to wear and stuff like that. It looks pretty cool. But anyway, now if you're a big fan of shippers, it's a very nice shipper, isn't it? Nothing on the side except for RT002, which I'm assuming is Ringtoys' second figure, which is great to be able to get in on the ground floor of these. I think Ringtoys are pretty much a Chinese company. They seem to focus more on sort of, I think, Chinese comic book characters and things like that, and sort of historical figures from China. But I'm surprised that the second figure in the whole list would be Jack the Ripper. But however, they decided to go that route, so it's great. And you can see Jack the Ripper on the back. There's a warning of choking hazards. Don't give to children. This is an adult collectible. And nothing on the side. There's nothing on the top. And it's plain cardboard on the bottom. Okay, and inside the box is another box. Okay, and once we take the other box out, you can see on the front here, it's got a sort of bloody motif with the silhouette of Jack the Ripper in the background. It's got Misty Midnight Jack the Ripper. Nice Ringtoys logo down the bottom. It's very understated, nice and simple, matte black. Nothing much on the side. There's a small diagram on the side here, and this is part of his gauntlets that he wears. I'll show you those in a minute, but it's very faint. It's very hard to pick up. And then on the back we've got all the warnings, Misty Midnight again. And on this side we've got some of the tools that come included in the box. Again, you can't see much of it. And up the top we've got Misty Midnight logo. And on the bottom it's the same, and it's a really nice packaging. It's really good. Slight crease and damage here and here. I think it's just from when it was, you know, opened. It's not going to last forever, I don't think, but it's definitely a nice design. But I won't be displaying it with this anyway, so it doesn't really bother me that much. And if we come here, we can open this up, and I really like this. Watch. You think it's a door, but it's not actually a door. The whole front is magnetized and it comes off, so you can pull it open like that. On the inside of this flap you can see it's got the Misty Midnight logo. You could probably use this for a backdrop if you really wanted, but that's up to you. And in the front we've got this picture, and this is both the head sculpts that come with it. You've got this sort of more manic, sort of Caucasian looking guy, and then you've got this I don't know what you call it, like a, I don't know, by shoujo twink kind of looking fella. To be honest, there was a bit of a hoo-ha on their Ringtoys Facebook page when they showed this off, because this was the original head sculpt, and then people were sort of throwing shade at it, saying he looks like a, why have you dressed him, you know, he's very effeminate. And then they said, okay, well, we'll give you 2 head sculpts then. We'll give you this sort of more sort of devilish looking one, and then we'll still give you the original head sculpt. And I'm very happy with that, because mostly I'd prefer this one on there, but I'm thinking about changing the head sculpt to something completely different anyway. Okay, sorry for the quick jump cut, but unfortunately this segment, this little bit, didn't film when I originally recorded. It just stopped recording and I didn't notice. So I'm just going to quickly do it again. So here is the insert. Take that out, and we have 2 foam inserts inside, and I do love me a foam insert. All the accessories are out because I've actually filmed the rest of the video already, but you can see that's where the figure would be. There's the head sculpts and the gauntlets, and the hands go there, even the mask, and then in the back you would have the stand and all the accessories, all the knives and what have you. Okay guys, let's move on, and the next thing you should see is the figure out of the box. Whew. So here he is straight out of the box. I'm knackered now. There's so much to do with this thing, but straight out of the box I've put him into sort of like a dapper gentleman pose. I haven't brought all the accessories out yet. Articulation wise, he's actually pretty good. I mean, most of it is soft goods clothing. There's no real sort of friction in the torso area because it's all fabric, so it's not too bad, and you can get him in some fairly reasonable poses. And so far I'm liking what I see. I mean, I've got the other head sculpt, so I'm going to show you that soon. This is gonna have so much potential for poses, and you can see he's got like his blood apron on there, and he has all these chains here that sort of hang down, and they're supposed to hang all the tools off of his belt there so he can get to work. And on the base here there's a little nameplate saying Jack the Ripper, although it's all in black, so it's very faint. I'm not sure if it was always meant to be black or if they just missed some paint somewhere but decided to go leave it anyway. I'm not sure, but there's some nice blood splatter on this apron here. It's absolutely superb, and the blood stains look old so that they look like he's used this apron before. And we come around and we can see this coat is really nicely finely detailed. There's posing wires all the way along here, along the bottom and on the other side as well, so you should be able to get some dynamic movement out of that and also get it into the perfect position that you want to put it in. And you've got these really nice buckles here. They're just stuck on. I think there's no spare ones, so you want to be careful with those. You don't want to start messing around with them, and if one falls off you want to be able to try and put it back on straight away. There's some very nice stitching and detail down the back there. Come around. So far I'm really impressed. It's exactly what they were advertising, which I'm really surprised by, because prototype to final production there can be a drop off, but I haven't really seen any drop off from the production. So far so good. Okay, let's get into the accessories. There's quite a lot to unpack here, so I'm going to try and do my best, but without dragging it out too long to bore you. We're going to show you, this is the secondary head sculpt here, and this is the one I prefer. It's a bit more realistic. The other one is very Chinese comic inspired or anime inspired, and this guy is a little bit more realistic. It's still not bang on, but I actually like the face in this one. He's got sort of like an evil snarl on his face. There's scheming behind those eyes, and I really like that. And he's got this hair flourish going down the back. I still think he's quite young. I think we could have done with mutton chops on this guy, because a lot of the old classic Jack the Ripper pictures always had him portrayed as someone with mutton chops. However, this is a steampunk reimagining, so I'm not surprised they've gone with a different head sculpt entirely. And it's nice that this isn't reminding you of anyone. This is him. This is not anybody else. This isn't ripped off from a real actor or anything. This is just specifically for this figure, and I really like that. Sculpt wise, it's very nice. Furrow in the brow, the snarl on the lips, the cheeks look great, the skin tone is fantastic. Really glossy, nice eyes there, and the hair looks really nice. And they seem to have taken a bit more time with this one, although you can see there is still a bit of a seam there, which is a minor letdown. Yep, I'm definitely going to be posing him with this one, I think. Then he comes with this, and this is like a face mask, and it's got that sort of weird steampunk style to it, but a sort of dirty, oily brass and copper, and it's styled after some sort of bird. I think it reminds me a little bit, it's sort of like mixed between a gas mask and the witch doctors from back in the plague days. You know, the guys that used to wear those long masks with the beaks, and the beaks, they used to stuff all sorts of flowers in there and different nice smelling stuff, because where they were going absolutely stank. There was rotten corpses everywhere, so they used to put these sort of long snouted masks on so that they could actually breathe in the flowers, and they believe that stopped the plague from getting to them, which was a foolish endeavour really, because the plague wanted to get them, it would have got them regardless of what sort of mask they were wearing. But I really like that. It's very steampunk inspired. I think the black wash on there is a little too heavy. I wouldn't be surprised if I go back with a bit of a copper and just slightly dry brush out some of those details a little bit more. It comes with 3 syringes. As we can see, there's little bits of blood on the end there. The syringes are a little thick, then I don't blame them. They're a bit, it would have been really hard to do a 1/6 scale syringe. Super fine. But you can see it's all transparent and clear. And there's 3 of those, and they can go in the suitcase, or you can put them in his pockets. And he comes with this bloody rag. And this bloody rag is used mostly to store this little thing here, which is a kidney. Don't know whose that is, but it's someone's kidney. It's really gross. But you can put it and wrap it up in this here, and you can hold it in his hand, or you can fit it into this jar here. You're supposed to twist that off, and it does twist. It's all bloody around the edges there, look. You can dump that in and do that, and you can have him staring at his trophy. Oh, that's gross. Very cool though. And then he comes with 2 wrist gauntlets, and this one here is the first one you can put on. It's really nice. It's very steampunk inspired, isn't it? All that brass and copper, the valves, lets all the steam through. There's some cogs working in there. I think they could have put a bit more silver in there to make them look a bit more working, but I think they wanted to put oil, like make it look really dirty and oily, because it's supposed to be working. But this is actually a blade. So if we come here, we can see that it opens up like that, and there's the blade. Straighten it out, and we can pull the rest out like that, and that sits on his forearm, and it's sort of like a sort of steampunky sort of gauntlet blade. And one of the really nice details on this is when he's standing there posing with it, is you've got this weird sort of face carved into the back of it. And that's supposed to be some sort of hairstyle here, like maybe a feather in a hat, and then you've got cogs behind it and everything like that. But it's quite alarming, isn't it? He's got a face of a woman in there, and you know what he's going to do with this blade. And here's a second gauntlet, and this seems to be like a sort of gauge or dial of some kind. I'm not entirely sure what this is meant to do. I really don't know. I don't even think Ringtoys knows what this is supposed to do, because it's very weird. Maybe it's like a woman tracker, it sort of senses them. But you've got this sort of cool metal spring thing here, and it's real. You want to be careful with that, you don't want to break that. And then he's got this antenna thing here. I think it's actually supposed to be like a cattle prod. It's supposed to gauge out and, you know, shock people. Oh, that's twisted. But you can see they've even done some really gross sort of oil running up and down the shaft. You've got the 2 barbs there. Yeah, I think this is supposed to be like an electric prod stun gun type thing. And again, there's another spring there. So you want to be careful about that. And then there's real pleather straps. You're supposed to strap that on. So that's going to be difficult to do. But once you actually get it done, I think that will look pretty awesome. Okay, next up is this quill. And this is really cool. They've actually put a real feather in there. It works really well. I don't know what it's from. Could even be synthetic. But it's really super cool thick nib here. And it looks like, with the red on there, it looks like he writes in blood. Which is really twisted, isn't it? Oh, you sick gits. Oh, I love it. And then that actually works with this, which is the Jack the Ripper letter that's signed from hell. And it's all written in red. And it looks like it's written on some very old parchment. And then of course we have the tools. And these, I believe, actually can fit onto the front of his belt. With this really twisted up carving knife here. Lots of blood splatter on it. You're going to hear me say that a lot with these, because they all do. Looks like it's really got a really fine bone handle. Got a little loop on the end. Got a pair of pliers for when he needs to wrench something out that's stubborn. Very grotty. These are fixed though, they don't move anywhere, so don't try and bend them. And yet another knife. That'll look great in his hand. With some blood and some dirt just on the edges here. Tiny little bit of rust if you can see the detail. Very stylish. And this thing, I don't actually know what this is. So if anyone knows what it is, put it in the comments, because I have no idea what it is, but it's got something to do. It's got blood on it, so he's using it for something. Maybe deboning or something. It's got a real pleather strap on the end here. Nice detail. And then we have these pincers all bloodied up. Again, no movement. They're just meant to look good. And then we have the bone saw. And they've even done some yellowing and some rust along the edges here. It's been used before. There's a lot of old stained blood on the edges. And again on the handle. And there's a real metal loop there to go onto their belt. Unique to this figure. I like it. And then he comes with this newspaper article. It says, madman who murdered 9 women. There's just some details in there. Old school paper article. Enjoyed that. Okay, he also comes with 8 hands, 2 on him and then 6 extras. Just going to show you that all of these are very similar in that they're all black gloves. He seems to have some sort of metal strap around there, leather strap. It's got some sort of steampunk design on the back. Every single one of them is very similar in detail. However, they are different poses, and some are there to hold knives and tools. One's there to, I think, grip the suitcase handle. And there's others that are slightly more relaxed or there to hold, I don't know, maybe the kidney or something like that. It's very good details, and I think all these hands work really well with the accessories they have provided. And finally, this suitcase. And a lot of the stuff here can actually fit into this, and I'll show you that in a minute. But we can go along, you can see, oh god, very cool steampunk design all the way through. Like metal piping across here for the handle. There's blood oozing out of it. Oh, that's gross. It's really morbid but awesome. Come across, and it's sort of got like this leather style pattern to it, but it's not leather, it's plastic. It looks really good. And then these pleather straps close it up. And that's going to be difficult to do because you've got to undo it and redo it every time you want to open this thing, which is a slight pain, but it really adds to the aesthetic. I think it gives it a really awesome steampunky feel. And there's this bit here, not sure what that is, but it looks cool. And you can see all the working cogs behind there. I think that's supposed to be a locking mechanism so it can be opened up, and maybe if you speak into that speaker with the password it would release whatever's inside. Maybe that's the idea behind it, but I think it's safe to say this is one of my favourite accessories out of the lot. You could use this with so many other figures as well if you wanted. And just to show you how everything fits, the 2 forearm gauntlets sit there, kidney and all that, and you've got all the tools up here, and that looks pretty impressive, doesn't it? All that detail in that suitcase. Then you can close this up, put the straps on, and then you can carry it around. Me personally, I'm going to try and display him with as much stuff on as possible because it's just that cool. Okay, and here he is fully kitted out. I've got him with all his tools on the belt. I've got the blood rag just tapped behind the belt there. He's got his blade gauntlet on. He's got the cattle prod gauntlet on. He's carrying the suitcase. He's got the kidney with the jar by his feet. I've got the hat on, and I've also swapped over the head sculpt, the other head sculpt, which I'll show you in a sec. But honestly, there is so much to this figure. It's taken me ages to do, but I didn't mind. It was a labour of love because I was really enjoying myself. I absolutely love this figure. You want different? This is different. It's not Iron Man, it's not MCU, it's not another superhero. It is its own thing, but it's a stylish, cool looking thing. And I think if you are even remotely interested in steampunk, or you're remotely interested in Jack the Ripper, you would do yourself a disservice if you didn't grab this guy. The only thing that might have put you off is the original head sculpt, because it really doesn't look like Jack the Ripper. Like I said, the original head sculpt makes him look far too much of a pretty boy, but the other head sculpt does work a lot better. So if I just take the hat off for a second, and let's just remove the mask. There we go. We can see that head sculpt a lot better, and doesn't that look cool? Honestly, I really like this whole design. Now, I was going to try and find a completely different head sculpt because I wanted something with mutton chop, and the only thing I could find really was this commit Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, but like old man Logan type thing, and he's got these mutton chops here, and I thought that would look quite cool, but the size of the head compared to that one is quite a lot. And also this is a necked body, so it would need a complete body swap and everything. It's not out of the realms of possibility. You've seen me do it before, but for the moment I'm not sure if I'm actually going to use that head sculpt in the end, but I really would like to. You might not like Jack the Ripper, but it is like a really cool sort of steampunk psycho killer. It's a great looking horror fig, and this is just such a great original character by Ringtoys. But this is not the only thing I got, which is why I'm trying to get through this as quickly as possible, because I also got the DX version, which comes with a diorama base. So I'm going to pull that out now, put it here, and then we're going to take a look at it. Right, we're going to have to go hands-free for this because I need to get in there real close and show you all the details. But look at that diorama, it's massive. I mean, that's Captain America standing there, and he's quite far forward. And that's the diorama piece, and it stands really tall. This is the one full scale shelf. This is where my Ninja Turtles normally sit, but now I've got this sitting here while I film, and I have to say, let's get in and show those details. Absolutely brilliant. This street light is really fantastically detailed. I've put new batteries in and it lights up really well. You can still see that even though I've got my LEDs on. It shines up. Now, one of the problems I had was the batteries just kept fading. So after about 60 seconds the light fades out. Let's see now that I've put new batteries in if that happens. But the sculpting on that is amazing. Check out all those swirls. They've painted it like it's cast iron as well. Really grimy. All the brickwork here. It's got the wanted posters. Jack the Ripper, newspaper article stuck to the wall. Another wanted dead or alive poster. Then we come down and we can see at the bottom of the street you've got all the grills and the grates here. And you've got all the sort of stone slabs that make all the detail up come through. You can see all the green and all the little bits of moss and sludge at the base of the stand. And again around this side it's the same sort of thing, and there's grime and dirt and brown and sludge and oil all the way around here. And these pipes absolutely horrifically damaged, but like really detailed. There's dirt all the way down the middle, it's brighter near the front, and there's slime and sludge on the inside of that broken pipe. The pipe breaking apart looks really cool. And we've got that wooden window. It's got some glass in there. It's plastic, but it's supposed to look like glass. It reflects really nice, and all the wood looks old and haggard and battered. And the pavement, all the street stones and the cobbled street. There's blood, and it's circling around the manhole cover. We've got all that lovely fine rust detail in there. It's like yellowing and dirt in the edges and the cracks in the street. Oh, I absolutely love this piece. As you can see, yeah, it's starting to fade a little now. It does fade, that is a shame. But this comes in 4 parts. It comes with the base, then you get the left side wall, the right side wall, and that light is separate, and that's magnetised on, so you can pull that off if you really want, but I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, let's get the figure in and see how it looks. And here's Jack standing in the diorama, and you can see, oh, that looks awesome, doesn't it? I mean, it takes up a lot of space, don't get me wrong, but it's worth it because the details in this is amazing. I'm fanboying out now. It takes a while for me to actually, you know, get impressed, really impressed with the 1/6 scale figure. I'm really impressed with this. See all the street sign coming on. Jack standing there. Bloody apron, the suitcase, the blade gauntlet. He's ready. See all the details in that street scene. Oh, bloody love it, I'll tell you. This is an absolutely cool piece, but it's not without its flaws. So let me just talk about that for a second. The street light, that can start to dim. You can see it's dimming now after a little while, which is a shame. I'd love to be able to have that brighter for longer, because if you're doing photography you just want to leave that on for a little while. Unfortunately, after about 2 or 3 minutes, or maybe even 60 seconds, it starts to fade, so you have to turn it off, leave it for a minute or so, and then turn it back on. So that's a bit of an inconvenience. In terms of the figure, I think that Jack's hat is a little small, and by that I mean it sits on his head, but it can easily fall off. And normally I was showing him with the hand holding it there, because it needs to hold it on, because it can slide off. It just sort of sits on top. I'd like to be able to have it sit a little lower, but I think they just did not want to hide the details in the face. Now, who can blame them? Clothing needs a lot of futzing to actually get him into certain poses, but I think that's just 1/6 scale in general, if I'm honest. And the hands are a bit difficult to put on and off. You really do need to warm them up more than usual, but you know, these are small gripes compared to all the pluses this figure gets. This wins hands down for me. I absolutely love this figure. I don't know what you guys are seeing, but I'm seeing pure high quality 1/6 scale stuff. Oh, actually there is another little flaw there. The top part of the light is a bit wiggly. Hang on, look, it's loose, so it presses the button on and off. There you go, but it does, you know, wobble a little bit and it can look a little wonky. I think it's a quirky look and I quite like it wonky. Some people might not. Was it worth the money? Yes, it was worth every single penny. And I got it from TNS Figures. I pre-ordered it. I think I was one of two, or maybe even the only one who ordered the DX version with a diorama, because it is massive. But I got that a few days ago via airmail because he sent it separately because it was really heavy as well. It's a very heavy resin. But I love absolutely everything about this, guys. If you were sitting on the fence about something like this, don't be. Jump off that fence and buy it. Even if you don't like this figure, there is so much here that you could take for other things. The diorama, all the steampunk equipment, the top hat, the clothing, all of that could be used for other figures if you really want. In fact, go on eBay and see if they've parted any out, because then you could actually use some of that stuff for other figures. But I am so impressed with this. I absolutely love it. What do you guys think? Do you really like it as well? But that's it for now. I think I've taken a few photos. I know you're going to ask me, well, what does it look like with other figures on the diorama, just in case, you know, you wanted to pose it with other people on there. Don't worry, I've got some photos and I'm going to share them at the end of the video. Seeing as it's coming up to Halloween, guys, you could do a lot worse than getting yourself something like this to display. I'll tell you what, it is a real winner. And Ringtoys are very well known for their detail in their bases and their figures. And normally they just do like Chinese comic book characters and things like that, or Dynasty Warriors I think is another license they have, which, you know, are very detailed figures. They have quite a lot of detail in their clothing, armor, etc. And Ringtoys are bang on for doing that. But the fact that they actually took some time out to try and do a horror character like this, I really hope they do some more. I don't know who else they would do, but if they're like this, I'm in, man. I'll collect the whole series. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe, and if you can do me a favour now, if you can get the fuck out of my cave. I have no idea where I'm going to keep this guy. I need more space.